is Benjamin Okeze Kalu, representing the good people of Bende Federal Constituency. I am from Abia State. Arise.
From the hallowed chambers, his voice resonates crystal clear.
You say you shared money recently, and I represent the constituency, and there are 360 of us, and all of them are saying we are not feeling the impact.
He's the unmistaken voice of Undi Bende and the image maker of the House of Representatives.
Swept away houses and roads in communities like Mpa, Umimenyi, Ozita, and Bende. Mr. Speaker,
he's a committed, courageous, articulate, and deeply impassioned lawmaker with the plight of his constituents.
Joining me now on the political segment is Honorable Benjamin Kalu, who's the spokesman of the House of Representatives.
Ben Kalu's mandate gives you first-hand information on the activities of the member representing the good people of Bende Federal Constituency at the House of Representatives, Honorable Benjamin Kalu, as well as his position on national issues. Ben Kalu's mandate airs on Flow 94.9 FM, Vision Africa 104.1 FM, and Real 99.1 FM every Tuesday by 10:30 a.m. Ben Kalu's mandate, gains of quality representation. Yes, it is the weekly engagement of Representative Benjamin Kalu with the good people of Abia State, especially Bende Federal Constituency. And we call it Ben Kalu's Mandate, the second edition for the month of September. Ben Kalu's Mandate is on Flow 94.9 FM, both on the terrestrial platforms and online platform, and also on Vision Africa 104.1 FM, Rail 99.1 FM, Family Love 99.1 FM, and ABN Online Radio and TV, all in Abia State. Bridging the gap between the parliament and the people is the program. You're welcome. My name is Michael Oni. We have our regular guest joining us virtually today, all the way from Abuja after the recess, Representative Benjamin Okeze Kalu, an astute lawyer and businessman par excellence. Good morning to you. Thank you for joining us on Ben Kalu's Mandate.
Thank you, Michael, for having me again today. And greetings from Abuja. We're back to the work we were elected to do. And thank you, Abia people, Bende people, for tuning in.
All right, the busy period is back. One of the reasons we started late, you were in a meeting. Both chambers of the National Assembly resumed today, 14th of September, from their annual long recess. Remember that in line with the legislative calendar, the National Assembly embarked on that long recess in the month of July 15th of July rather. That was on a Thursday. With all you have done in this period, during the period of recess, it seems that you have made judicious use of the period, visiting your constituents, commissioning projects, and attending meetings. On a lighter note, I was thinking the recess period is a time to rest and maybe to re-strategize for the second half. How ready are you to fully resume your duties, which you've resumed, and what should your constituents expect?
All right, thank you, Michael. You know, in leadership, there is no recess. But in parliamentary work, plenary, you could go on recess. Recess does not mean holiday in leadership. In leadership, there is no holiday. Once you've been given that crown, uneasy lies the head that wears a crown. The crown does not go on holidays, and therefore the recess afforded me the time to engage with my constituents, to be around, to move around the nooks and crannies of Bende, to be able to know what the current needs are, as well as also to hand over to them what we have been able to achieve so far, to engage with them. So, is it something that is tiring? Of course, every work is it's not a jamboree, but it's something that we came out to do, and we're doing it happily. Am I prepared for the work ahead? Of course. I came to work very early. I started working today 7 a.m. And I've been to television stations to discuss on issues of the National Assembly, and also I was just finishing a meeting with the commandant of Nigerian Defense Academy, where I lost one of my constituents who died in the last attack. He's from Ugweke in Bende Federal Constituency, and I'm a member of the House Committee on Defense. So we invited him for questioning today. In fact, he asked me to accompany him to Bende today for the burial, but because I just came back from Bende and the house is resuming today, and there are other engagements that the leadership want me to take care of, I declined to travel back for the burial. So I pray that God will console the family and grant the military people going their journey mercy. So we are back to work, and from now we're going to plenary. Though plenary will not hold today, because it is customary to us that once we lose a member, we should observe a moment of silence and not sit on that particular day. So we will not sit today, but from tomorrow, activities of the House will start. And what my constituent, what are they going to be expecting? They should expect active participation again. We've done it for the first 2 years. This is the commencement of the third year. My team, they are fired up. I have a team I work with, and they are fired up. They are ready to push harder. And when we push harder, we push for Bende, we push for Abia State, we push for Nigeria. So there's no dull moment. I'm promising them, as long as God grants us good health and life, there'll be no dull moment in this year 3 of my tenure. We will make sure we bring the dividends of democracy.
Oh, great. Interesting. But let's talk about the bills expected to take the front burner as the House of Reps resumes today. I'm sure there are some contentious bills that were, that were in the cooler before you went for recess. So which are some of the bills that you are expecting to be at the front burner as the House resumes?
Thank you, Michael. As you are aware, kudos to the House. We have been able to finish the PIB. Today it is called the PIA. But as you are aware, we also started work on the Electoral Act Amendment bill. And we have gone very far with it. And because of the issue that appear like a disparity in the opinion of the chambers on Section 58 sub 2 for the House and Section 58 sub 3 for the Senate, there is the need for what we call a conference committee. The conference committee, I spoke to the leadership of the House yesterday. They are engaging with the leadership of the Senate to determine the number of members of the Senate, members of the House that will be constituting that particular conference committee. I am optimistic that in no distant time that committee will be formed. And once the committee is formed, the purpose of that committee will be to fine-tune and to harmonize if there are areas of divergence of opinion between the two chambers. That will be handled by the conference committee that will be charged with the responsibility of dotting the I's and crossing the T's. Many have asked, how are we going to finally settle the issue of the electronic voting, electronic transmission of results? And our answer has always been the proposal from the public, the proposal from the drafters of this particular piece of legislation was, in the spirit of 58 was for us to allow the independence of the unbiased umpire, INEC, to use their discretion in the selection of the best option to use for transmission of results. And we would like to leave them to handle it without any precondition or pre-qualification. That is the desire of Nigerians, we believe. That is the hunger of Nigerians, we believe. And the purpose of making legislation is to reflect the needs, the desires of the people who have elected us, because we do not make these laws just for ourselves. It is meant for all of us who are part of the citizens of this country.
If you've just joined us,
so beyond the Electoral Act, beyond the Electoral Act, another issue we're going to be looking at is the bills that emanated from the Security Summit.
Oh, great.
You are aware we had a security summit because you see, one of the concerns of the country, one of the mood of the nation is that they're feeling insecure. And there is an expected legislative intervention that the House of Representatives is supposed to put up to ensure that people's life, in line with the mandate of the Constitution, that the government should provide security to lives and properties and the welfare of our citizens, that spirit of the Constitution was upheld. So we had the Security Summit, and after the Security Summit, reports have been given to the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and we did not end there. We also went into developing 9 bills out of that particular summit. That's 9 security bills. They are on our front burner at the moment, and we are going to be looking at that as we resume. Then another bill that is of utmost importance is the Constitution review. You are aware that we formed an ad hoc committee on Constitution review that is chaired by the Deputy Speaker of the House. This particular committee have gone round the country obtaining memoranda from the people in the form of public hearing as allowed by the Constitution. And we are interested in making sure the Constitution is adjusted to reflect the desires of Nigerians as well. But the process of making a Constitution is not an overnight task. It takes a lot of input, a lot of hard work from all sphere of government, both from the state and to the federal. So the governors have a role to play with their House of Assemblies, who need to give 2/3 when the time comes. The Senate 2/3 and the House of Rep 2/3. So it takes a while. Many want it to be done immediately, but we are not going to sacrifice quality review on the altar of speed. Therefore, a combination of ensuring that this is done quickly so as to give Nigerians what they are looking for, with the need for quality review will be combined to make sure we give the best to Nigerians. So those are the things we're going to look at. And finally, the appropriation bill. The appropriation bill, which, as you know, on the 8th of July, the president, presented the MTEF, and we asked the Committee on Finance to stay back and look at it. I'm sure we're going to discuss that in detail. I would like to educate Abians. I would like to educate Bende people. I would like to educate Nigerians on what we have found out on the MTEF, and I'm giving it to you as one of the, fresh information that will be out there, and that this will benefit my listeners and those who are loyal to this program. Except this morning, I discussed it on national TV, NTA morning show. This is the second place I'll be discussing it. So make sure you stay tuned while we discuss the MTEF 2022 to 2024 and the impact of it on the national budget, which is the appropriation bill that is on the front burner.
Okay, great. It is still Ben Kalu's mandate, in case you just joined us. It's a weekly engagement of Representative Benjamin Okezie Kalu with the good people of Abia State, especially Bende Federal Constituency, where he represents. Representative Benjamin Okezie Kalu is a vibrant politician who currently is the member representing Bende Federal Constituency at the House of Representatives, occupying the seat of the chairman, House Committee on Media and Public Affairs, and doubling as the spokesperson of the House. Now let's move on to some other issues this morning before we go straight to the MTEF that you are going to share with us this morning. Let's talk about the autonomy of the other arms of government, especially the judiciary. No fewer than 26 states were yet to enact laws, or are yet to enact laws that for the implementation of the financial autonomy for the state legislatures and judiciaries. And this is coming after the expiration of the 45-day deadline reached in that MOU signed by 36 state governors and the leadership of JUSUN and the PASAN, the Parliamentary Staff Association. Now, one will be asking, what is going on? This is coming at a time that judges are complaining that courts are underfunded, and the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Right Honorable Femi Agbajabiamila, was at an event where he maintained that legislature needs more money. So what do you make of this?
Thank you very much, Michael. And the independence of the arms of government, the need for them to be fully independent cannot be overemphasized. It doesn't matter from the perspective one looks at it. It will increase the efficiency of government if all the arms of government are independent and they are able to fulfill their constitutional mandates without reference to any other interference from any other arm of government. The judiciary is crying at the moment, and I'm a lawyer, and I belong to that constituency, and I can assure you, their call is the right call. I believe in the judiciary, and I believe in their legitimate call for a review of their welfare. The judges in Nigeria, their welfare, the workers in the judiciary, their welfare is nothing to write home about. They should be treated better than they are treated. And that is why some of us are fighting for the judiciary, because they put in a lot and they are not allowed to do a lot for themselves out there as alternative sources of income. So since they depend fully on the remuneration that comes by virtue of the offices that they occupy, as allowed by the Constitution, they should be another enabling acts of parliament. They should be well paid. They should be well taken care of. And also when they retire, they should be well taken care of. They desire that and they deserve it. So I am joining them in this call that as we look at the budget of this 2022, that one of the things that we should consider should be a way to lift the judiciary from where it is to where it ought to be. And luckily enough, I'm a member of the Federal Judiciary Committee, and what concerns them will be my call during the consideration of their budget that will be done soon. So, you know what it does is that if they are sure that their take home will really take them home, they will focus on the elements and the principles of justice without fear or favor, affection or ill will. But if they are afraid that their take home will not take them fully home, they will, as human beings, no matter how you describe them as unbiased and all the rest of them, as human beings whose first call in life is self-preservation, they will look for how to take care of their bills, and in turn, justice will be affected. We don't want that, but that pure administration of justice, the interest of the judiciary, should be put on the front burner. Now, also, you mentioned that the Speaker, in a function in the Southwest recently, opined that the budget of the National Assembly should be looked into, while we are trying to review that of the judiciary, as they are striking and calling. We cannot go on strike, but we will keep raising the advocacy that what is given to us at 0.08% of 13 trillion is not enough to run the three aspects of the National Assembly. Because when people hear National Assembly, they think it's just the House of Rep or the Senate. No, we have the management side. It's sitting on a tripod. So you have the House of Rep, we have the the Senate, and then you have the management. And in this management, you have the commission, the National Assembly Commission. We have over 6,000 staff working there. So the money that you're talking about, by the time it goes down to the House of Rep, it's only a very little bit of that enters into the pocket of the various constituencies to do the job that we're doing. Is it enough? I will keep leading the advocacy without fear of anybody, countering it, that the money allowed for the National Assembly to oversight the entire budget of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is not enough. You cannot appoint any consultant in any field to come and supervise a project of 13 trillion, and you are giving him 0.08%, not even up to 1%. Most consultants will charge you 5%. Some will charge you 10%. And what we are asking for is for us to go from where we are now to a little bit up, considering the inflation rate and considering the exchange rate. We cannot keep the budget of the National Assembly where we met it 10 years ago, because the forex is not where we met it 10 years ago. Inflation It's not where we met it 10 years ago. It's living a lie for anybody to tell you the budget should not shift a little bit. When the budget of the nation is shifted, it wasn't 13 trillion in those days. Today it is 13 trillion. Why is it shifting? It's shifting because the forces, the national forces, the economic forces, they are the determining factor. Why is it when it comes to that of the National Assembly, it remains the same? Those factors are not being considered. I think this 2022 budget will have a paradigm shift from what it used to be to what it ought to be, to enable us to do our job, because what matters at the end of the day is that we're able to oversight these agencies that we are giving this money to do. If we give them this money and we don't have money to go and visit them to see whether they are applying the money well, look at their books, then it is an exercise in futility. Year in, year out, they come in with a recycled budget input that has no reflection of needs analysis. And there is no way for us to find out, because we are not visiting the agencies, not because we don't want to visit the agencies, but because there is paucity of fund to be able to carry our committee activities. And that is why most committees in the House are not operating at their optimal efficiency, not because they don't have the capacity, but because paucity of fund does not oil the wheel of their action plan to be able to achieve all this. So I'm sure by the time we look at the budget, some of these things will influence our opinion on how the budget of 2022 will look like.
All right. We need to take a break now. When we return, we are going to talk about the 2022 to 2024 medium-term expenditure framework and the fiscal strategy paper. And also, we look at the sit-at-home order. We'd like to get your reactions concerning this sit-at-home order, especially as it is detrimental to the economy of the Southeast. It is still Ben Kalu's mandate, of course, weekly engagement of Representative Benjamin Kalu with the good people of Abia State, especially Bende Federal Constituency. Stay tuned.
Is Benjamin Kalu, representing the good people of Bende Federal Constituency. I am from Abia State. Arise.
From the hallowed chambers, his voice resonates crystal clear.
You say you shared money recently, and I represent a constituency, and there are 360 of us, and all of them are saying we are not feeling the impact.
He's the unmistaken voice of Undi Bende and the image maker of the House of Representatives.
Swept away houses and roads in communities like Mpa, Umimenyi, Ozita, and Bende. Mr. Speaker,
he's a committed, courageous, articulate, and deeply impassioned lawmaker with the plight of his constituents.
Joining me now on the political segment is Honorable Benjamin Kalu, who's the spokesman of the House of Representatives.
Ben Kalu's mandate gives you first-hand information on the activities of the member representing the good people of Bende Federal Constituency at the House of Representatives, Honorable Benjamin Kalu, as well as his position on national issues. Ben Kalu's mandate airs on Flow 94.9 FM, Vision Africa 104.1 FM, and Real 99.1 FM every Tuesday by 10:30 a.m. Ben Kalu's mandate, gains of quality representation.
All right, thank you very much for staying tuned. It is still Ben Kalu's mandate, second edition for the month of October. We've been speaking with Representative Benjamin Kalu, and of course, he has been talking about some topical issues, even as the House of Representatives is resuming today. The National Assembly is resuming today after that long recess that the House went into in the month of July. Now, let's talk about the 2022 to 2024 medium-term expenditure framework, MTEF, and fiscal strategy paper, FSP. The 9th National Assembly brags about returning to the national budget cycle to January, from January to December, as one of its biggest achievements. I'm sure of that, and I'm sure that I'm aware that plans are on the way to ensure that the president presents the 2022 budget to the parliament maybe by October. That's in the news. But what are we expecting? What are the details? I understand that the House committees on finance have held public hearings on the 2022 to 2024 medium-term expenditure framework and the fiscal strategy paper. Nigerians are eager to know. There are some nitty-gritty that Nigerians are eager to know, especially the issue of fuel subsidy, the borrowings, and the likes. If you can let us into that this morning.
Yeah, thank you very much, Michael. As you know, many people don't really understand what the MTF is all about.
Okay.
And I'm sure at the end of this discussion, they'll be able to have a better understanding of what it's all about. The president, like I mentioned, on the 8th of July, and because of that, and our desire to ensure that we sustain the budget calendar that runs from January to December, we asked the Finance Committee, as one of the committees that was not shut down during the recess, to stay back and look at this MTEP in order to ensure that once we resume, file before the budget is presented. And as you know, MTEF is a 3-year planning tool that is prescribed for the review of National Assembly, in line with Section 11 of the Fiscal Responsibility Act. It defines government socio-economic and developmental objectives and priorities, and sets out key parameters for assumptions underlying these fiscal policies. It also guides the MDAs, the ministries, the department, the agencies on the formulation of their policies and selection of projects for budgetary consideration. The House Committee, in view of this, House Committee on Finance held an interactive section on the MTEF with the revenue generating MDAs, and this took place between the 16th of August to 26th of August. They spent 10 days interacting with agencies. And the purpose of that interactive section was to ensure fiscal discipline and probity by government-owned enterprises, popularly known as the GOEs, to avoid leakages and waste. And as you know, these leakages and waste has caused a big harm in the way things are done in the country. It makes it difficult for us to, as government, provide adequately for the people. And it is our duty in our oversight function, in our watchdog function, to block these leakages so that we'll have sufficient amount to be able to take care of the needs of the people. The committee made some findings on this particular MTEF. And their findings, they were based on also the World Bank forecast, on average of $60 a barrel in 20 realism. It is suggested that oil price be kept below this particular benchmark. So if it is 60, they are saying we should do below 60. And the proposed benchmark at the moment by the Finance Committee, by the proposal that was sent on this MTEF, was $57 per barrel for 2022, and also proposed $55 per barrel for 2023 and 2024. Like I mentioned before, that the MTEF is allowed by Section 11 to take care of the fiscal responsibility as to provide for 3 years. So we're looking at 2022, 2023, and 2024. So $57 is projected for 2022, $5 for 2023, and estimated or projected that 0.88 million barrel per day will produce in 2022, and the exchange rate has been pegged at 410.15 per dollar from 2022 to 2024. The also assumption that was made included this assumption that inflation rate projection should remain at yeah, I can hear you, Mike. I think the network is a bit disturbing today. Yeah, as I was saying, that inflation rate is projected to be at 10%, and in 2022,
Yes, I can hear you. Go on, please.
Okay. Yeah, 11% in 2023 and then 10% in 2024. And also we are looking at GDP growth to be projected at 4.20% in 2022. And this is based on the fact that the aggregate revenue available for 2022 budget is 7.26 trillion, out of which 3.16 trillion will come from oil-related sources. And the 2022 expenditure framework is put at 13.98 trillion, and with a capital expenditure accounting for about 26% of the total expenditure. This has continued to be my concern because of the continued provision of subsidy, which remains a major drain in government revenue. I heard you mention about subsidy.
Yes.
Because of this, with the 26% on capital, some of us have advocated severally it should be increased. Including the senator from the Abia North has also argued that on the floor of the Senate. The same in the House of Representatives, we need to increase the capital from where it is to what it ought to be. And we also noticed that some MDAs were merely recycling budget proposal, and that indicates a lack of proper needs assessment. And some revenue generating agencies were utilizing their IGR, internally generated revenue, in flagrant disregard of Constitution and the Fiscal Responsibility Act. And this is by failing to remit same to the federal government of Nigeria. Some agencies also are underreporting their revenues, and some of the establishment acts are merely self-serving. So as legislators, we are going to look at those self-serving establishment acts,
okay,
and see agencies and see what we do about them for the national interest. Because if it doesn't have national interest at heart, because they deliberately preclude certain MDAs from remitting Nigeria to FGN post, it doesn't make sense. So we look at it. Every MDA, if you raise revenue, you must remit to the federal government post. Yeah. Okay. So we'll spend some part of the year looking at how to amend some of these laws to reflect this desire of Nigerians. There are discrepancies we have noticed also in the data provided by the Customs, NNPC, PPPRA, Petroleum Equalization Fund, and DPR regarding their daily crude oil production, and also PMS supply in Nigeria. The discrepancy is much. We have noticed it. And at the end of this discussion, I will tell you what we are looking at, how to solve it. And also the passage of the Petroleum Industry Act is expected to ensure efficiency in the sector, to the benefit of national revenue, because the fiscal element of that particular PIA has benefit for the national revenue. Now, the recommendation of the committee, as you're going to be hearing any moment from now, include that the National Assembly should meticulously consider this 2022 budget, having established, like I said before, that most MDAs are merely recycling projects
and concealing their revenues.
Yes.
All right.
And then urgent need to establish, in the course of looking at this budget, there will be urgent needs by the National Assembly to establish Nigerian actual daily PMS consumption, as data from stakeholders are currently conflicting. So we establish it and ensure that we work with a particular data, and I'm sure the data will be lower than it is being projected, and that is one of the areas that national revenue has leaked. And also the need for us to expeditiously amend such establishment acts that have allowed agencies to spend their IGR without reference to the provisions of the Constitution and the Fiscal Responsibility Act, that we are going to. And the agencies are yet to appear before this committee. The House is not going to allow them to just go unpunished. they are going to be given another chance to come and appear before the House. But if they fail to do so, their capital and overhead expenses may be removed from the 2022 budget. Now, we are looking at this benchmark that have been positioned at 57. I don't think it's going down well with the House. The House might be looking at pushing the benchmark from that 57 to $60, to approve it for $60 per barrel, so that we can accommodate other things that we want to take care of in the country. And there is a projected new borrowing that is at 4.89 trillion.
I was going to take you on
and,
that.
We are going to be approving that, but only subject to the provision of details of the borrowing plan, to National Assembly. The borrowing plan and how you intend to use the money that is. The problem is not with borrowing. The problem is how you utilize the money that is borrowed. So the 4.89 trillion, the National Assembly is going to look at approving it, but only if the borrowing plan, satisfies the questions from constituents, which will be raised through their representatives. And aggregate FGN expenditure is going to be at about 13.98 trillion. That is what the federal government will be spending, the aggregate expenditure for this 2022.
Okay.
And this is going to be made up of total recurrent non-debt amount of 6.21 trillion, and personnel costs among the MDAs in the country at 3.47 trillion. Mentioned to you, exclusive of transfers, will be at 3.26 trillion. And then they'll have what they call the special intervention recurrent amounting to 350 billion naira, and special intervention capital amounting to 10 billion naira. This is what we are looking at approving. Then the Nigerian Customs Service should also accelerate the process of installing scanners at the port to curb underpayment of custom duties.
All right.
So as we resume, these are some of the things we are going to be looking at. And those, how to amend those laws to make sure revenue is remitted, how to investigate the discrepancies in the data provided by Custom, NNPC, PPROA, Custom Equalization from DPR, and all the rest of them.
All right.
And also how to investigate agencies spending revenue without regard to the Constitution and the Fiscal Responsibility Act. And then we're also considering to make sure that we pass this 2022 budget before the next calendar year, in line with our commitment to the national budgetary cycle. So we're going to focus on this and the constitutional review, like I mentioned, and all the rest of them as we resume. Yeah.
Okay, we have less than 4 minutes to step out of the studio, but we cannot throw a deaf ear to what is happening in the southeast, especially the issue of sit at home
Hello,
order.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. If you can hear me, I'm saying we have less than 4 minutes to step out, but we cannot throw a deaf ear to what is happening in the southeast, especially the issue of sit-at-home order, as it is detrimental to the economy of southeast. We want to get your reaction to this, and what do you think that we need to do to stop this current situation and to put it under control?
Yeah, as I've always said, it is better to use non-violent means in agitating for whatever concern that you want to push forward. And I'm happy that the IPOB have dropped violence, and they are now looking for alternative ways of making sure that resolutions to conflict is achieved. But in doing so, strategies adopted should not be detrimental to the space that you are agitating to protect. I was actually sad when I saw that children going to school to write the exams that will help them build capacity, which will be some of our pride in the region. They were stopped from going to write exam. In every rule, there's always an exception. If you are sitting at home and there is a national exam that is going on, you shouldn't stop the children to go and write the exams, because if you give them a stunted growth in the academic pursuit, it will end up affecting them and their progress in life. And I don't think that is a good service to them. It's actually a disservice to those children. I actually frowned at that. Children should not be stopped from going to write the exam in the name of sit down. Now, the economy of our place, we don't have a lot of federal presence in our place. We don't have a lot of federal establishment in our place. That our people struggle to survive. Every Igbo man struggles independently to survive. When you stop them from going out to eke out living for themselves and their family, you are going to increase criminality. I'm hearing now that the statistics shows about 50 billion is what we are losing every week when we do this. Is that not detrimental to our place? If we impoverish our own selves by ourselves, is that not a disservice to the region? Who are we hurting by doing this? Are we hurting the people we are claiming that are the ones marginalizing us by sitting at home and not engaging in our economic activities, not even going to our farm, because most of us are farmers in our area? Let us apply, good reasoning in the strategy that we bring out. I believe there are good brands in this IPOB, and I know they can go back to their drawing board and look for alternative ways of also continuing with this non-violent means, which I actually applaud, because we cannot be losing lives. That we've lost a lot during the Civil War. We cannot keep losing lives. I'm happy they are using this non-violence, but in doing so, think out better strategy that will not hurt the economy of our people so badly like it is doing now, because a lot of people are complaining, and it is putting a lot of pressure on some of us, because when the constituents come, they don't have money to eat. You are forced to go and look for money somewhere to feed them. So that's my take on that.
All right. I'm afraid our time is fast spent. We will not be able to get reactions today. I would have loved to read what Ihionu Chukwemeka from Bende wrote about the distribution of over 3,000 modern plastic chairs and lockers to public primary schools during this recess that you did. And Ifeanyi Chukwu sent a message from Ohafia. Sir, last time you were in the studio, you made mention building new leaders across the state. Please, that's exactly what my state needs now. The mentality of fellow youths needs to be changed positively towards politics. I volunteer myself to work for you. God bless you. That's coming from Ifeanyi Chukwu. Messages are pouring in, but we can't take them. But we do appreciate you. Thank you so much for joining us today on the program. Ben Kalu's mandate. Representative Benjamin Okezie Kalu, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. And listeners who could not call in today, our apologies, because I was handling the issue of the NDA attack and our constituent who lost his life there. That was why we started 10 minutes late. I'm sure by next week, God willing, we'll be able to make up. And yes, we've seen some of the things you wrote, one of which being the leadership school. Very soon we're going to be starting it, because I am interested in raising new cream of leaders. Let me tell you, the youths have a lot to offer. And the earlier we begin to harness their leadership skills, the better for the leadership gap that is existing in the country. I believe in the experience of the old people. I believe in it so much because they will guide the youth. But the youth, they are quite innovative. I believe in the strength of the youth. I believe in the energy of the youth. I believe in the creativity of the youth. Their innovative mind will help take us to where we ought to be. God bless you, and I hope to speak to you next week.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, Representative Benjamin Okezie Kalu. All right, many thanks for listening. Apologies we couldn't take calls and messages today. Hopefully next week we will do that and dedicate more time for you to share your thoughts with your representative. My name is Michael Oni. Stay safe.